It's the summer of 2004, and Inoue Takehiko's manga Slam Dunk is about to cross an impressive sales milestone. After the sales figures for July had been calculated, Slam Dunk had officially sold more than 100 million copies. As a thank you to his readers, he launched the Slam Dunk 100 million copies appreciation campaign. It began with a series of newspaper advertisements thanking fans, and ended with an in-person event where fans could read a short follow-up to the series called 10 Days After. But even after the campaign was complete, he started feeling like he hadn't done enough. He explained his thoughts in an interview with Business Jump. Quote, "To commemorate the 100 millionth sale, we've expressed our gratitude to Slam Dunk readers through full-page newspaper ads and events, but we have always wanted to express our gratitude to basketball itself in another way. Without basketball, there would be no Slam Dunk. After the serialization of Slam Dunk ended, I lived in America for a while, and it was around that time I started to think, successful players, for example, are doing some kind of activity to give back to society. As I watched the NBA and came into contact with American basketball culture, I started to think that I would like to give back to basketball in some way." End quote. The idea that popped into his head was a scholarship. Because so few people in Japan were able to play professionally, he didn't think that many kids could actually dream of making it to that level. In an interview with Monthly Basketball, he stated, quote, "I came up with the idea of a scholarship, hoping to help open up even a small path so that as many children as possible can seize the opportunity to play basketball in the future." End quote. Inoue Takehiko teamed up with a small team of editors from Shueisha, the publishers of Slam Dunk, and they started looking into what it would take to turn his idea into a reality. It's 2005, in Los Angeles, California. Yoko Miyaji, a sports writer who had been covering the NBA for more than a decade, received an interesting email from a Shueisha employee. Quote, "What do you think about the idea of offering scholarships to Japanese basketball players to study and play at American universities?" End quote. That conversation marked the beginning of Yoko's involvement with the project. Inoue wanted to send Japanese players to the United States to play in a more competitive environment and to address what he thought was the biggest gap in player development between Japanese players and their American counterparts: college basketball. Quote, "First of all, I want them to challenge themselves to reach the highest level as Japanese players. To achieve this, they will gain more by playing in a higher level environment. In order to grow, they must set their limits higher than they currently are. There may be a tremendous gap in the level of play between Japan and the US, but I believe that the point in which that gap becomes decisive is college. I'm sure there are many players who want to go to the US at that crossroads, but they don't know how. They don't have a path, or they're not at the level yet. The purpose of this scholarship is to create a path for them." End quote. The initial vision for the scholarship was to send Japanese players to Division I universities so that they could play at the highest level of collegiate basketball in the country. But Yoko questioned if this was the most effective way to use the scholarship. Quote, "American universities, especially D1 teams, offer scholarships to promising players. Of course, it's not impossible for a player to fund their own scholarship and walk onto a team, but when a team offers a scholarship, it's a sign that they're buying into the player. Conversely, it's difficult to earn playing time without a scholarship. Rather than offering scholarships to players in an environment where it's clear from the start that playing time will be difficult, surely there are other ways to do it. Isn't there a more effective way to spend the money? I'm pretty sure I made that suggestion." End quote. There was another big issue with the initial plan: the language barrier. In order to play collegiate basketball in the US, you have to meet minimum academic requirements. So if you can't speak and read English at a fairly high level, you're going to have a hard time keeping your grades up. Deciding on the best way to implement the scholarship was a challenge. In order to gather more information, they contacted people who studied abroad, people who played basketball in the United States, and basketball tournament organizers. They even hired a research company to help them out. But at the end of the day, Inoue Takehiko really wanted the scholarship to go to high school graduates, the players who were at that crucial stage of development. And after 2 years of research, discussions, and international travel, they had settled on what the final version of the scholarship would look like. In the fall of 2006, a new Shueisha website was discovered, and the website officially revealed what Inoue Takehiko and Shueisha had been working on: the Slam Dunk Scholarship. The final version of the scholarship differs quite a bit from the original idea. Instead of focusing on trying to get players immediately enrolled in universities, they decided to develop a program that would give them a chance to succeed at the collegiate level and address some of the issues that they may run into. To do that, they would enroll Japanese players at US college preparatory, or prep, schools. The scholarship's official website explained that, quote, "The Slam Dunk Scholarship sends students to prep schools. Prep schools are private schools that provide college preparation or advanced education. By excelling at prep schools, where college coaches often visit for scouting, players have the opportunity to receive athletic scholarship offers from American universities. The Slam Dunk Scholarship sends its scholarship students to prep schools rather than universities because it believes that prep schools are the most realistic and optimal study abroad destination for Japanese athletes whose native language is not English, aiming to enter college or professional basketball." End quote. The scholarship program would last for 14 months. Between April 2008 and May 2009. It would cover the cost of travel, both to and within the United States, as well as tuition, room and board, and insurance. After arriving in the US, recipients of the scholarship would be traveling to New England. The prep school they would be attending was South Kent School, a small all-boys boarding school located in South Kent, Connecticut. While they weren't coming off of a great season, their basketball team had once been one of the best prep teams in the country, and two of their former players, Darrell Wright and Andre Blatch, were currently playing in the NBA. Scholarship winners would spend the first 2 months of the program at South Kent. Since those are the last 2 months of their school year, and the basketball season would have already finished, this would serve as an orientation and acclimation period. While South Kent was out on summer vacation, they would travel to Ashburn, Massachusetts to attend another boarding school, Cushing Academy. They would spend 3 months there taking English as a second language or ESL courses, and playing basketball with some instruction from their coaches in South Kent. In September, at the beginning of the new school year, they would travel back to South Kent for the final 9 months of the program. If you were a high school student in Japan that was interested in the program, you'd have to both be eligible to apply and pass the application process. As far as eligibility goes, only second-year high school students that were going to graduate in March of 2008 and had their parents' consent were eligible. In order to apply, you'd have to fill out an application, write an essay, and mail it to the Slam Dunk Scholarship Office in Tokyo along with footage of you playing a game of basketball. The application window opened on December 20, 2006 and closed on March 7, 2007. And once the application process concluded, the selection process began. Starting in April of 2007, a panel of judges that included Inoue Takahiko, various basketball coaches, and the Slam Dunk Scholarship Office would review the applications and select the players that would move on to the next phase. In June, those who passed the first round would have their applications and their academic transcript sent to South Kent School, and their coaches would select the final candidates. The final selection process would take place in October, and the finalists would travel to South Kent to practice with the team and be evaluated in person. It's October of 2007. The application window is closed, and the first 2 rounds of the selection process have concluded. On October 2nd, South Kent School released a press release that stated, quote, "The South Kent School welcomes renowned Japanese manga author and artist Takahiko Inoue, author of the best-selling book Slam Dunk, to the school here on October 7, 2007. Mr. Inoue is at South Kent School from October 7th to 11th, accompanying Narito Namizato, the finalist of Mr. Inoue's Slam Dunk Scholarship Competition, which awards a full academic and sports scholarship to South Kent School. The final phase of the competition is the South Kent admission interview and evaluation. Upon successful completion of this phase, Narito will attend South Kent starting in the spring term of 2008." End quote. The first time South Kent School coaches got to see Narito play was at an informal open scrimmage on October 8th. While Narito and Inoue didn't think he was playing up to his level, and the language barrier in the 12-hour flight didn't help, the coaches still left with a positive impression. The next day, Narito would get his chance to play with the team, and he did much better. According to Inoue, quote, "Today is one of the happier days in my life. The coach gave me a resounding no question when I asked him whether Narito Namizato, the first recipient of our scholarship, had passed." End quote. Narito Namizato was only the first of many recipients of the Slam Dunk Scholarship. The structure of the scholarship today hasn't changed very much. The most notable changes were the schools that they would be attending. South Kent School was replaced by St. Thomas More School in Oakdale, Connecticut, and Cushing Academy was swapped for IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. It took a while for the initial vision of the program, having a Japanese player play Division I college basketball, to be realized. But in April of 2022, Taku Youngblood signed to play for Northern Illinois University, becoming the first Slam Dunk Scholarship recipient to play for a Division I college basketball program. 17 players completed the program, and many of them did go on to play college basketball in the US at varying levels. And most of them, including those who didn't play college basketball, did end up playing professionally in Japan at some point in their careers. As of October 2025, 19 Japanese students have been given a scholarship, and the latest recipient, Nagi Sato, was just announced this past September.